Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, and wisdom, preaching His word, truth, and sincerity. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word, truth, and sincerity. And shalom to the Akim, that be like unto the speckled bird, preaching the word, truth, and sincerity. I say shalom to your Akim out there. And this is a news article for In the News on the August the 23rd, 2022 at 1:34 a.m. in the morning, at night. And this is a news article from yesterday in regards to the financial Wall Street. The Dow Jones and the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, and the Dow Jones dropped negative 640 points. And the highlight of the news article, and it reads from finance.yahoo.com from Miles, published by Miles Utlin, October the 27th. Not October, I meant to say Slovakia, August the 22nd, 2022 at 3:02 p.m. as of yesterday. And the highlight of this news article, and it reads from Yahoo Finance, the stock sink in Monday's market meltdown. The Nasdaq falls 2.6%, and the Dow Jones dropped 640 points. It says stocks got trouble on Monday, falling across the board as this summer's market rally stalled out when the closing bell rang on Wall Street. The S&P 500 was down 2.1%. The Nasdaq off 2.6%. And the Dow Jones fell in the negative range of 640 points, or 1.9%. It says Monday's losses complete the biggest two-day decline for the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 since June. For the S&P 500, Monday's marked the largest decline since June the 16th. It says the date and it says the date that also marks the market most recent bottom. Last week, the major average lost ground for the first time in 4 weeks, snapping their longest winning streak since November of 2021. Right, because I remember I did a video on that about a couple of days ago, about the S&P 500 had its longest winning streak for about 4 weeks now, close to 5 weeks. And as the markets continue to fall for the past 3 days, and that winning streak is over, and for the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones combined as well too. It says snapping their longest winning streak since November of 2021. This drops market comes ahead of a busy week for the economic news, with the Federal Reserve Key Jackson Hole's symposium set for Friday, the same day investors expected updates on inflation data and consumer sentiment. With the WTIQ oil future were volatile in afternoon trade, with the crushing falling blow of $87 a barrel on Monday morning, before the headlines of a possible production cuts from Saudi Arabia, and set crude back towards $90 a barrel. It says the euro was also trading back below parity with the U.S. dollar, as the dollar continues to be the best year since the late 90s. right? The paper dollar is gonna be so much value, but when that time comes, that paper dollar is gonna be no more value. It might be high value right now at the moment, but when everything becomes full digital, with the MOTB, when that rolls around and come into full effect, that means that paper dollar is going to be no more value because everything is going to be full digital when that time comes, and we are approaching those times as well too. So, you know, the paper dollar is going to get its highlight moment for a moment of time, and that's right now at the moment. But that paper dollar is going to be no more value. As you see, China separate itself from the United States as China continues to follow their own way of trying to create more currency for their own currency as they back away from the U.S. dollar, and other countries follow along the trail as well too. So the paper dollar of the United States dollar might be high value, increasing right now because they said it has its best years since the late 90s, but sooner or later, that paper dollar is going to be no more value. It's going to be a thing of the past, and everything is going to be all digital. That's when that MOTB, that charagma, comes into full effect. But continuing on with the reading, it says elsewhere, the markets on Monday, Bitcoin, BTC, USD was down nearly 2% and threatening to again break down 21,000 after cracking this level of overnight, the first time since late July. The crypto market, which has rallied along the stocks over the last several weeks, also stalled on Friday, with Bitcoin in Ethereum, ETH, and USD both losing about 8%. The 10-year yield, which had declined as a bonds rallied with stocks in the early past of this summer, rebound was trailing above 3% on Monday. It's this highest level since July the 20th. The 10-year yield rose about 20 base points last week, amending the border slide in the stock market. The latest iteration of the memo trade continues to unravel early Monday, with the shares of AMC falling 42% on Monday, as the company new preferred shares class being traded under the ticker APE. AMC prefers units fell 11.9% on Monday to around $6.12 per share, combining the price of these units with the AMC's exact common stock, which closed at $10.45, and investors value the business of $16.52 per share, is down about 9% from Friday's closing price, closer to $18. Unlikely traditional preferred stocks arrange that typically the offer holders additional economy benefits like larger dividends. The AMC's new offering has the same voting the economic rights in common shares. The AMC announced its new preferred share class on August the 4th. So I'm going to read this part as well too. It says, in this week, AMC APE announced a rally in several many stocks, most notable for bed and bath and beyond. The BBBY has been primarily a non-Fed driven story in the financial market. Last week, the bed, bath and beyond story began unraveling when Ryan Cohen, chairman at GameStop, Chewy co-founder and ringleader of the first act of the memo trade back in 2021, the closing the sale of its entire 11.8% stake in the struggling retailers at the maniac rally shares last week. The news sent Bed and Bath Beyond shares down 40% on Friday. So you've been having a lot of stocks and business owners who do their stocks and bonds, and they pour out most of their funds into these stocks and markets. They've been having good rallies, and these rallies definitely been crashing down. They said this news Bed Bath and Beyond shares down 40% on Friday, and the Bloomberg also late week the Bed and Bath Beyond has hired restructuring lawyers and was in fact delayed shipments from suppliers over the late payments. It says the Bed and Bath shares fell 16% on Monday. This lost momentum in the market comes ahead of the Federal Key Jackson Hole's conference later this week. It says with the Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech on Friday is likely to close of a magnitude of a central bank nearest interest rate increase, right? Like they've been doing so far this year, because they trying to continue to find ways to ease the inflation, and as they still continue to raise the interest rates, they've been doing this for the past long time now, always increasing the interest rates, the tax hikes. It says Friday morning will also feature the latest of the PCE inflation, the federal preferred measures, as investors look for additional signs inflation pressure may have peaked, a potential positive catalyst for risk assets. So as we see the Dow Jones fall, it shrink. The Nasdaq fell 2.6% as the Dow Jones fall yesterday of 640. We're gonna continue to see if the trend is gonna continue to decline more and more. So for these past 2 or 3 days, the Dow Jones been sinking after a good 5-week winning rally of the stocks due to the fact that the inflation was down and the oil prices was down, so they were showing some improvement at first. Now for the past, like I mentioned before, for the past 3 or 4 days, you've been seeing a decrease of the markets, as you see right here. It's all in red, declining stocks, because you have people that fund in these stocks and bonds, and then some of the money that goes, the economy goes into the market as well too, because you got these businesses, these electronic businesses, and these companies, and these CEOs, and these business owners. They fund their investments in these stocks and bonds, and the stocks and bonds, they've been having winning streaks, and now for the past couple of days, or close to even a week or so, now they've been having these stocks and bonds of what they own and been increasing, and they might have lost a lot of money and a lot of stock because they fund their money in these things, and they will kind of think they'll make a little bit more money. But the stocks been decreasing, especially because the stocks, they kind of react to certain things, what's going on in the news or what's going on in the world in regards to if the Feds is gonna increase the federal tax hikes, or is there gonna be a continue of a declining of oil prices or oil production, especially the stocks. They reflect what's going on around the world, especially with the Russia-Ukraine thing, with the oil production. If it increase or decrease, with the inflation, even though it's been decreasing, but it might continue to goes up, or the consumer spending, because the stocks and bonds affects globally as well too. Not just only here in the United States, but globally as well too. I can only imagine how the stocks is over there in the UK. I know they probably be declining as well too. Because after that report came out of the high consumer spending was from, I believe, 8.2%. Now it went up all the way to 10.2% of and the inflation is increasing now more than ever, and they said it's been the highest inflation in consumer spending since the 1980s, I believe, or 1982 or 1984. Just like the same thing the United States when they got hit with that inflation in a while. That been their worst since the 1980s. Because inflation over here, even though it went from 9.2, it went down a little bit to 8.5, but the consumer spending still remains the same in that level of close to 9.2, because you have the continue of the products in these stores continue to be very expensive and high, like foods and goods, electronics, the gas prices continue to go up, electricity and stuff like that, with the expensive house mortgages and stuff like that, because the housing market kind of went down as far as the market concerned, because the housing market get funds by the housing market get bit with the stocks and bonds as well too, because you might be having homeowners that's probably investing in these stocks and bonds. Sometimes they might have good gains of the stocks and bonds, and then next thing you know, it might crash down as well too. So yeah, that shows you another sign that modern day Babylon is falling on an economic scale. Not just only here in North America, but globally as well too. Because you have the stocks and bonds, they react to what's going on in the world, especially economically. With the oil production, the inflation, and the consumer goods as well too. And what's going on over there in China with the epidemic going on, and what's going on there with the Russia-Ukraine thing, and then this, because the stocks react to with the so-called climate change as well too. So the stocks, they react of what's going on around the world in many different categories. If it's from a political thing, if it's from an economic thing, if it's from a war type thing, or it's an oil production thing. So you kind of expect potentially might see a continuing streak of the red negatives areas of decreasing value of the stocks of the S&P 500, the Nasdaq as well too. Or if it might have a winning game rally, we'll see. How it plays out tomorrow. Will it continue the trend of a decreasing value in the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones as well too, and affecting globally as well too. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, as you see right here, the highlight of this title right here from finance yahoo.com. The stock sinks on Monday, a market meltdown after a 4 to 5 week winning streak for the summer, as it dropped and it ended that winning streak. So that goes to show you more signs of modern day Babylon. It's definitely falling economically, and it's now increased now, more evident so. And I'm gonna bring out that scripture of about Babylon is constantly consistently falling in the economic scale. Revelations 18:2. And he cried with a mighty strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become a habitation of devils, and the hole of every foul spirit, and a cage of uncleanful bird. Jeremiah 51:8. Babylon is suddenly falling and destroyed, right? Because it's being destroyed economically, and in many different categories as well too, and how for her pain, take bond for her pain, if so she may be healed, right? Because currently at the moment right now, as we speak, on the economic scale, it seems like modern day Babylon is not being healed. So she may not be healed, and Babylon is definitely falling on the economic scale. You look at the housing market, even though they create more jobs and decreasing the employment, but the consumer prices continually to go up. The cost of everything is continually goes up, and it affects the citizens of these countries, especially here in North America, even globally over there in the UK, with the inflation, the consumer spending been the highest since the 1980s. So everything is definitely expensive over there in Europe and over here in North America as well too. You got homeless rates skyrocketing now more than ever, because I did a video on that as well too. So yeah, that shows you more signs that modern day Babylon is definitely falling, and it will not be healed at the current moment, as the current state as it is in right now. So that shows you more signs on an everyday basis that modern day Babylon is falling on the economic scale. Even if you do bring in a new president, see if he can make change to help the American citizen out, help the homeless crisis situation, the equal opportunity for everybody, equal for everybody and stuff like that. Trying to tackle the harsh issues of what America is facing right now. Even if you bring in a new president, it's still gonna continue to be the opposite of trying to set it straight. Even if it's a liberal president or a conservative president, even though he might make some significant change or whatever, trying to strengthen America, trying to strengthen America of having that respect for America like it once was. But you're still going to have that division between the nations, divisions between different factors of organizations on the left hand side and the right hand side. If it's from an economic issues, gender war issues, so it's gonna be many different issues that's still gonna be going on. So that's why I brought out Jeremiah 51:8 and Revelations 18:2. We we would have healed Babylon bond for her pain, but so she may be healed, but she's not gonna be healed. Modern day Babylon is not gonna be healed because we continue to, we can continue to see the continued downfall of Babylon the Great, which is in the Holy Scripture stated that it was gonna fall, and we're seeing modern day Babylon fall on a consistent basis. And it's gonna continue to decline now more than ever, especially on the economic scale. With the inflation's rate decreasing, but we would kind of expect the inflation might increase back up a little bit more again. And with the oil production going to skyrocket again as well too. And the continued consumer pricing of everything being so expensive nowadays, that's going to continue to skyrocket as well too. And the consumer spending and the inflation, that's going to continue to increase at a steady pace as well too, even though the inflation and the gas prices and the oil productions has been declining, but expectancy is going to potentially increase again as well too, as the economy not so good. It's kind of rocky, just like the housing market, not so good, a little bit rocky as well too, even though Joe Biden, the Biden administration, signed that Inflation Act into law, with the climate change bill, they funding all that money in climate change and stuff like that. So, but it's still going to show more signs of modern day Babylon is constantly falling on the economic scale, So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying through the spirit, power, grace, and mercy of Yahweh Yahushua. And first and foremost, I would like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai B'Hashem, Bakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, pushing this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, pushing this word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim that be like unto the speckled bird, pushing the word truthfully and sincerely. And until next time, I will say shalom and a bar.